But hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Power Lunch. This is Mastering the 3 Levels of Testing, Test Mode, Silent Test, and Audible Test, Part 2. My name is Sarah, and I'm a trainer here at Alertus. And during this session, we will focus on testing to verify alert audibility and coverage, as well as discussing some best practices for regular testing and ensuring system readiness. So this is an interactive session, so please feel free to drop any questions in the Q&A box. Also, please be aware that this session is being recorded for training purposes. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to share my screen so that we can take a look at my Alertus console together. So here's the login screen. I'm going to go ahead and log in with my administrator account. And for today, we're going to walk through how to create a new preset alert for a system test to test your system's audibility and coverage. And then we'll also take a look at how you can schedule that preset alert to go out at regular intervals whenever you do want to run that system test. So the first step is under the Configure System section. We are going to create some new alert services for the device settings that we want to use for this particular Audible test. So we're going to create services for 3 of the more popular Alertus devices. We're going to create them for the desktops, for the IP text-to-speech speakers, and also for the alert beacons. But you can follow a similar process for other endpoints or types of devices you might also want to include. So we will start by creating an alert service for the text-to-speech speakers. So I'm just going to click Add Alert Service here. For the service type, I am going to find our text-to-speech speakers here. I'm just going to name this alert service 1220 Audible Test for text-to-speech. You can give it a description if you'd like. And then here's where we decide on the alert service settings that we want to use. So you do have the option if you want to add any pre-wave or post-wave audio files. This would be an audio file that would play either before or after the main alert audio. So you can choose to do that if you want to test this out as well. Also, if you do just want to test a wave file, you can go ahead and click add, or where it says no audio, you can click here if you do want to pull in a particular audio file to use. But for today, I just want to test the text-to-speech functionality of my speakers. So I want to make sure if I do send an alert out, the text-to-speech function works so that the speakers will read my alert message out loud. So I'm just going to select this text-to-speech option for today, and I'm just going to have this alert played once. This alert audio play count is where you can set how many times you want that alert audio to be read. And then for the audio play count, that would be the number of times that the whole audio would repeat. So that would include any pre or post waves that you've included, as well as the alert audio. I'm just going to have everything repeat 1 time. And then there are some additional settings that you can set if needed. For example, if you have any attached LEDs, you can set the behavior for those here as well. I don't have any of those, so I'm going to leave it there. Go ahead and click Add. So now we have our text-to-speech alert service. So next, I want to create a desktop alert service so that my desktops have the formatting I want when they're activated for this Audible test. So to create the desktop alert service, I first need to create a desktop profile that has the formatting I want. So I'm actually going to come next into this desktop tab under the Configure System settings so that I can see this desktop information here. I'm going to scroll down to the section where it says Desktop Profiles, and I'm going to click Add Desktop Profile. And this is where I get to build out the desktop formatting that I want to use. So I'm going to, again, name it 1220 Audible test, this time for the desktop. Again, you can give it a description if you'd like, not necessary. And then there are 3 different display modes you could choose from. You could select a pop-up if you want to use any of these templates. You can preview them down here. You could also select a ticker if for this test you just want to send a bar of text across your desktops, you can do that. I'm going to go with the classic full screen takeover for this test, just to make sure that it's something that my people can see, so they're familiar with what an alert might look like. I'm going to come over to this variables section. This is where you can really customize what this desktop alert will look like. So since this is just a test, instead of having it be red, that might seem a little more alarming. I'm just going to make the blinking color and the border color green in here. I'm also going to come down. You can change all of the other colors, fonts if you'd like. You could also add images on the left and right hand side just by clicking select image. If you want to add a certain logo or clip art image, maybe I'll add a green check mark just to show you what that might look like. And then if we scroll down here, you can also change the subtitle. So maybe instead of alert, I just want the blinking text to say test to let people know it's just a test. Maybe I don't need an exclamation point. So there's a lot of options here. I think that looks good for my desktop alert. I'm going to come back to the general settings and update my audio settings. So again, since we're testing alert audibility, I want to make sure that my desktops can play the audio that I want when they're activated. Right now it's on no audio, so it would be silent, but you could pick an audio file if you do want to add in, say, a certain beep or chime. You could pull that in. You could also upload or record custom audio for the activation if you'd like. Or you do have the option to select text to speech. That's what I'm going to select for this test, just so that my desktop clients will read my alert message out loud. So I'm going to just have it repeat once. This repeat delay, I'm only having it repeat once, so this isn't needed, but if you do have it repeating multiple times, this delay would be the time in seconds that it waits between repetitions. But I think this looks good for my desktops. I'm going to go ahead and click add, and it will prompt you to go ahead and create a new alert service for that desktop profile. So I'm going to select that. And again, I'm just going to name it 1220 Audible test for my desktops. And then once I hit submit, it will have created that alert service. So we'll be able to see it if we come into the alert services tab. Here's that 1220 Audible test for the desktop. So I know it has the right formatting that I want to use. So the last device type that we're going to include in this Audible test is the alert beacons. So I already have an alert beacon alert service here. The alert beacons work a little bit differently. If you do click the edit icon to look at these settings, it will tell you that the alert beacon settings are actually customized when you can create an alert profile, a preset alert, or if you're just activating alert from one of these activation pages. So I don't set the settings here. I'll do that in a moment for the alert beacons. So now I have all of the alert services that I need. I'm going to go ahead and use them to create an Audible test alert profile, just to conveniently group all of them together so I can pull them in all at once. So these alert profiles are basically just collections of alert services that you know you want to use together for a particular scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and add an alert profile. I'm going to name it 1220 Audible test. Again, you could give it a description if you'd like, but here's where I'm going to pull in all of those alert services. So here's the desktop that we created. Here's the text to speech. I'm also going to pull in my alert beacon. And here is where I can set my alert beacon settings. So I'm just going to click this plus sign here to set what I want for my Audible test. So I'm going to set an initial duration, maybe the first 10 seconds. I'm just going to put it on low volume just to make sure that it will go off, but I don't want to make it too loud since I'm sitting right in front of it. I'll leave it with this continuous beep. Maybe for the visual alert type, I'll pick this LED medley. Maybe after those 10 seconds, I want it to just go ahead to silent. Again, since I'm sitting right in front of it, I don't want it to make noise for too long. But of course, you can set this however you need it to be. And then for the visual alert type, maybe instead of that LED medley, I'll pick another blink just to see what that looks like. And then I'm also going to choose to activate my LED marquee just so that I can test to make sure my message shows up there as well. And then since we're doing a system test, I'm going to go with this option to check this box to use the alternate LED color. So if that's checked, then your alert beacons will blink green instead of red. So some people use those for their all clear alerts or for their system tests, just to let people know it's not a real emergency. So I'm going to go ahead and click add to update those settings. And now I do have that 1220 Audible test alert profile. So now that I have the delivery methods and device settings I want to use, I'm going to go ahead and use that to create a new preset alert for my Audible test. So I'm going to come here to this preset alerts section. Here's where I can see the preset alerts I already have created. I'm going to create a new one for this test. Again, I'm going to stick with my theme. I'm going to name it 1220 Audible test. For this preset type, this is basically just the formatting for the icon that you can use to make your preset alerts look a little bit different. I do have one for a test, so maybe I'll pull that in. Again, just so my icon looks like this, it's easy to tell what it is. And then the next section here is where we compose our message. So this is the text that will be displayed on our devices or read out loud by our text-to-speech speaker. So for this one, I do already have a system test message template that I've created from the message templates tab and saved so that I can pull it in really quickly. But if you don't already have a template saved that you want to use, you could also just type a custom message in the box. So this is saying this is a test, no action is needed. In a real emergency, this message will contain important alert information. Maybe I'll update it to say this is an Audible test, so people know they should expect some noise. But I think that message looks good. I'm going to have it run maybe for 5 minutes, just enough time to make sure that everything is able to activate. And then for the priority, since this is just a test, I'm going to move it down to the lowest priority just to make sure that if there is an actual emergency that happens around the time that this is scheduled to go out, I don't want this system test to override a real emergency. I want to make sure that if there is a real emergency, people see that message instead of this one. So that's why I'm picking the lowest priority. But now the next step is pulling in our delivery methods. So you could use this dropdown to individually pull in each alert service that you want to use. But since I went ahead and created my alert profile for this Audible test, I can just select that to pull them all in at once. And you do still have the option here if you want to make any updates to your alert beacon settings. You can do that here as well. And then the final step is choosing our recipients. So for this test, I want to test all of my devices, so I could just check all. However, you could also pick specific groups. Maybe I could pick just my building 1 group, for example, if I just want to target my building 1 devices. You could also pick specific units. If you just wanted to test, say, 1 computer, you could just send it there. But I'm going to leave this as a test for all of my devices. And then I'll go ahead and click add. So I can add that preset alert to my system. Here it is, my 1220 Audible test. So I could just activate this right now, which I will do in a minute, from the preset activation page in the console. However, you do also have the option if you want to schedule this alert to go out at regular intervals. I'm going to show you how to do that. That's under the Configure System section. If you come into the Scheduled Alerts tab here, this is where you can schedule those preset alerts to go out whenever you'd like them to automatically. So I'm just going to click Add Scheduled Alert. I'm going to name it Audible Test. You could call it Monthly Audible Test, whatever you like. Again, you could give it a description if you'd like. And then for this preset, that's where you pull in the alert you want to be sent out. I'll pick my 12:20 Audible Test. This start time would be the first time that it's sent out. Maybe I want to start this, let's say maybe the first Monday in January. I could pick that. You can also have it repeat by whatever you'd like, either weeks, months, days, hours, whatever you need. Maybe I'll have it repeat monthly. Maybe I want it to be on the first Monday of every month. You could also do the first Monday of every 2 months if you don't want to run it quite as often. So you do have a lot of flexibility here. And then you can also specify an end time when you'd want those recurring activations to stop going out. So maybe I only want them to go out for a few months. Maybe by April, I want to say that I'm going to stop it. So I could create that end time so I would only have those 3 executions. You could see them here as well. And then to go ahead and add it, you'll just click Add. So now that's scheduled and ready to go at those times. And then you can also see them here. I'm just going to update my time frame. Instead of just looking at this week, I'm going to look at the next 6 months. So here's where I can see that I do have this Audible test that's scheduled. It's enabled to continue going out, but you can also turn it off at any time if you needed. Here you can also see the next executions that I have scheduled, so I can see exactly when that Audible test is going to be run. And then if something comes up, say you know that in February you have something on the 3rd, you don't want to run this test, you can always come here and just disable a particular execution, so it would just skip that one. So that's how we would schedule it, but I do also want to show you what it looks like to activate it. So I'm just going to come up here to the preset activation page so that we can send it out right now. I didn't add it to my quick access menu, so I'm just going to search for it to pull in that Audible test. I'm going to hit continue. Here you can review these settings if needed, and then I'm going to go ahead and click send. So now we'll be able to see there's my alert beacons going off behind me. They'll get quieter after 10 seconds.
This is an audible test of the Alertus emergency notification system. No action is needed.
Here's the desktop alert as
this
well.
Message will contain
I'm just going to hit that acknowledge button to close the desktop alert from my own device. We heard the text-to-speech speaker. Since I only had it set to say that message once, it said it once and then turned off. But of course, you can have it repeat as many times if needed. I can also see that on my marquee. My message is being displayed, and I can also tell my alert beacons are blinking green, and you can also see the alert message on my alert beacons. So everything looks good. That's the behavior I expect. I could let this run the full 5 minutes if I wanted, but if you do want to cancel an alert early, you can always come to this active alerts window, hit cancel, and then confirm. So that will go ahead and cancel it. So the last step, or the last section I wanted to take a quick look at today, is this reports section. So I recommend every time you do run a test, you come in here to check the reports just to make sure everything was activated and sent out as you expected. So the most helpful report I think for this scenario would be this alert history report. This report's very helpful because it will show you a list of the 40 most recent alerts that have been sent out by your system. And you can also see beyond the 40 most recent if you download the complete history. But the most recent are at the top, so you can see here's that Audible test that we just sent out. And then if you click on the message, you can see some more information. For example, I can tell who sent it, I can see the status, that it was canceled, etc. And then this report is also helpful because it has 3 attached reports to give you even more information. So I'll take a look at this device activations report first. This is where we can get activation information to see exactly which devices were activated. So here I can tell I had 2 alert beacons, a desktop, and a text-to-speech speaker. That's all the devices I have here, so that's what I was expecting. I can also see that I had some offline devices, another alert beacon, 3 desktops. Those were not online and did not activate. So I knew that those were offline. So again, I'm expecting this, but if you are expecting something to activate and it doesn't, that would of course give you a reason to want to check out that device a little bit more carefully. And then if you scroll down, the bottom of this page will show you for each device, the name, if it activated, and then exactly how long that took. And then you can also sort if you want to see what did not activate, you can bring it to the front. And then in addition to the activations report, there is also a report for device acknowledgements. So this is showing acknowledgement information. So for example, I can see that I pressed the acknowledge button on my desktop and I forgot to do it for the alert beacons. But if you notice, there's two black buttons on the front of the alert beacons. If you hold those both down, that's how you would acknowledge the message on your alert beacons. So I can see I just acknowledged my desktop, but this is a good way if you do want to keep track of which devices were interacted with or acknowledged during a particular test. You can see that here. And then the last attached report is this user recipients report. This one's kind of like a combination of device activations and acknowledgements, but for specific logged in users. So if you scroll down, here's where I can see the user information. So I know this is my desktop that was activated in 7 seconds, also acknowledged in 29 seconds. So this is a good place to go if you do want to keep track of exactly who had their device activated or exactly who acknowledged a particular alert. This user information shows up really clearly here. And then if you do notice anything looks off with any of those activations, you can get some more device information from this device status report. Anything that shows up in white is currently online. Checking in with the server should be able to get those alerts, no problem. Anything that is in yellow is inactive. So for your desktops, they'll become inactive if they haven't checked in, and I believe 3 minutes or longer. So that could be an early sign. Something might be going wrong with that device. And then any of these devices in red are completely offline, so they would not be able to receive those alerts. But if you do scroll along here, you can see some more device information, including IP addresses. You can also see the logged in user. You can see information about the last error time, the logged in user, etc. You can also sort or filter things by the type of device you want to look for. You can also search for a particular device or sort them by their status. If you wanted to bring all offline devices to the front, for example, you could do that. And then you can also customize what columns or device information is included. If you come to this add/remove columns button, you can just check the things you want to show in your chart. You can also reorganize them if you click and drag things up towards the top. Whatever's at the top of this list is what you'll see first on the left-hand side. So this is a good place for information, but if you still notice something's off, if you want some additional help with troubleshooting, I would recommend getting in touch with our Alertus support team that's always here to help. All of the people that do have that active licensing and support agreement. So if you do want to contact support, you can just click this support button on the bottom left to come up to the support page. Here's an email and a direct link to submit a support ticket. You can also do that from our customer portal that's linked here as well. If you click that link, it will take you to help.alertus.com where you can log in. This is a helpful place. We do have a lot of user guides and technical documentation here that can definitely be helpful to answer some Alertus questions. And then you can always click this submit a ticket tile if you do want to submit a ticket to get in contact with technical support. So definitely reach out to your account manager if you're not sure how to get logged in here, and they can make sure to set you up with an account. But I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. That was all that I had planned to present today, but we do still have about 5 minutes left. So I wanted to save some time for questions. If you do have any, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A box so that I can make sure to get them answered. So I'll hang around for another 5 minutes if there are any questions. But for everyone that attended today, thank you so much for joining. Hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully you'll continue to check out some more power lunches in the future. And it looks like there's not any questions. Oh, I just saw one. Do I need a special adapter to update the firmware in the beacons? Let's see. That is a good question. If you do want any information about updating the alert beacon firmware, there is a lot of documentation on our customer portal that can give you some more specific information. So if we come back to that customer portal, I'm going to search for alert beacon firmware, and we should be able to get some information. So here's the configuration quick guide for the alert beacon firmware upgrades. So this will outline the full procedure along with everything that you need and some additional troubleshooting tips. So I will go ahead and link this article in the webinar chat so that you'll have easy access to that. So that will walk you through all of those requirements. All right, if there's not any other questions, it is about time, so I'll go ahead and sign off. But again, thank you all for attending. Hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully you'll be back to check out some more power lunches in the new year. But thank you all for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your Friday. Take care.